Welcome, DeFi Degens and airdrop, whatever, whatever Jeff decides to
Aeronauts.
call. What's that?
We'll go with the aeronauts.
The aeronauts. All right,
No.
airdrop aeronauts. We have a good show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about a new DeFi play built natively on Bitcoin called Portal to Bitcoin. So we'll be diving to that here in a minute. Hey, what up, Rico? What up, everybody in the chat? We got Jay. We got people trickling in. I know it's a Monday night. Everyone is busy doing family duties and things like that, depending on what time zone you're in. So we appreciate whenever you guys show up. But with that, yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place. I just got back. Me and the lady went up over to Montana and hiked up to a mountain lake, high altitude mountain lake out there, and something decided that it wanted to visit us, and it was not being detoured. So we ended up actually hiking out at like 1 in the morning, using our cell phone lights to find our way down, which was kind
Oh,
of
gosh.
treacherous. But yeah, it was either a bear, a wolf, or some coyotes. But
Oh,
yeah, there were some eyeballs, out there, and I was trying to scare it away with my gun, and shot in the shot off in the air, and yeah, it wasn't going away. So we were like, all right, we're out of here.
Whew, yeah, better
So
be safe.
yeah, I didn't get much sleep. I took a little nap a little bit earlier, but damn. Hey, what's up, Josh? It looks like you're off the boat, man. Welcome.
Oh, shit.
Yep,
Welcome,
yep.
welcome.
No, I did, Jay. I got naked at a mountain lake. I took a cool dip. So anyway, let's go ahead and kick it over to you for the
Oh,
socials,
yeah.
and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, welcome, everyone. And glad you made it out alive, Mike. We're happy to have you back. And yeah, hope you had a wonderful birthday weekend. But you can catch us both live on DeFi Crypto and Airdrops every Monday and Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Vet also goes live throughout the week, usually around 10 a.m. or so
A lot of times I'll do it at 10 a.m. I'll jump around sometimes, but
Pacific.
usually it's right after Blockchain Basement with Drew and Isaac.
Yeah. And um, also Thursdays, where he goes live with a lawyer and a financial expert at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, you can check our brother channels out: Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab Academy, our DCA consortium. We cover the news, degen stuff, trading, technical analysis, and great community, great group of guys. And uh, also check out our Twitter at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, the underscore only underscore DCA. Check out Vet at Veteran4Crypto, and me at the Blockchain Report, the BCR142. Make sure you're following the right accounts. We will not DM you for any reason whatsoever unless you've already DM'd us and built that relationship. But yeah, if you see a scammer, shut him down and report him. But oh, the Discord, we have the Discord as well. Let me pull that up. We got our DeFi Crypto and Airdrops Discord, where we got all the channels for DeFi and the tracking sheets that are very important for making sure that you have the right strategy, whether it's portfolio management, your ladder out strategy, which is awesome, and also Discover Investments Group, where they have some free channels that you can jump into, and they also have some paid ones where you get access to the full Discover or the full Hit Network team. So their portfolio, trading channels, education, just a little bit deeper dive into the crypto sphere. So,
And there's a ton of value in there, and I'll
oh
just
my
I'll
gosh.
just kind of I'll just kind of go over it real quick.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in the free, you kind of dip your toe in and get a taste. You can get into a lot of the live calls where Josh and Drew and sometimes DZ and TJ, they'll all be in there and they'll be talking about entry and exit points if you're into day trading, scalp trading, things like that. Kelly, Kelly from the BitLab Academy will be in there, giving the alpha on, where they're getting in, where they're getting out, stop losses, all that stuff. So, a lot of it you can just copy trade them, and potentially, they're not perfect, just like, none of us are. But for the most part, they're very profitable. So, there's that in there. Of course, there's, DeFi, DeFi stuff. Wednesdays is when we do the DeFi roundtable, or mastermind group or master class, whatever you want to call it. And that's where anybody in the community is a teacher and or a student. You can bring, if you find like a cool new dex, if you find a really profitable pool, it's kind of where we can all kind of spend each other up, and
Mhm.
show how we're being successful with our portfolio. So just a ton of stuff in there. So I highly suggest you get in there. Both of them. Ours is totally free. There's a free section in the DIG, and then if you find that valuable, then you can get the paid one and get a lot more, access to a lot more. So
Oh yeah.
all right.
All your
So
DeFi needs.
yes, yes. All right. So let me share my screen, and we'll start out with the usual DeFi Yama. Let's see. All right. So as usual, I like to start out with the Yama. It is kind of the way that I invest, and those of you that watch, know the way that I invest is always data analytics, fundamentals. I don't care about price. I mean, I do care about price, but I don't invest off the price. If the price dips on a great project that I've been investing in, I double down. I triple down. I see it as an opportunity. If the fundamentals change, then I might reassess, how heavily weighted my portfolio is in that asset. That being said, a huge part of that I lean on for that, unemotional data is DeFi Llama. I don't look at social media. I don't look at social media posts and, this project to the moon and, all that sort of stuff. That's usually people trying to pump projects so that people, FOMO in so that they can, use them as exit liquidity. So beware of that. But as you can see, TVL and DEX volume, we're still, for the most part, we're trending sideways. There's a lot going on this week, and we'll get into it. But it's in the U.S. This week is going to be a huge week for crypto legislation. There's things being signed into law. There's a lot of data coming out on a lot of different macroeconomics. Things that are going to drive liquidity and where liquidity is potentially going to go. So, that's the kind of stuff that you find here. You can find, all the different DEX volume. You can find information about unlocks on all your favorite projects, ETF inflows, be it Bitcoin, if it's, the Sol, XRP, Ethereum, whatever it is. And then, of course, you can come down here and you can look at the spot volume. So, for the past 7 days, 24 hours, you can look and you can see, where is the most amount of volume. And anybody that's involved in DeFi understands where the volume is where the fees are being generated, and where the fees are being generated is where you make money. So, of course, you want to know where the volume is. It, as always, you have Pancake Swap, Uniswap, and then after that, it kind of juggles around. Sometimes it'll be Aerodrome in number three. Sometimes it'll be Radium. Sometimes Fluid. It will pop up there. Hyperliquid. But for the most part, this will let you know where the money's flowing. RWA.XYZ. We have all the usuals. Basically, this is tokenized real world assets. Private credit still leading the charge when it comes to tokenization. U.S. Treasury debt, comes in a distant second, and then you got commodities, gold, silver, oil, things like that. We'll cover a little bit about silver here in a minute. But if you scroll down, it used to be that $0 to $100,000 inflows were that's where you were finding Plume. We're starting to find Plume at the 100K to 1 million. You're seeing there's a lot of deposits, TVL going into Plume specifically in Basis, which is a Nest protocol play. And I will pull it up here. So this is Nest protocol that's built out on Plume mainnet. If you're not familiar, I highly suggest you become familiar. This is the portal, and you can go to explore, and you can find Nest Protocol, Rooster Protocol, Morpho. Those of you that are interested in DeFi over on Base Network know what Morpho is, but there's over 200 different institutions that are currently building out dApps that are either live or going live on Plume mainnet. Plume mainnet is going to be a beast. That being said, um, this one here is interesting, and I've been doing some research on it. It's a crypto native delta neutral yield from for capital preservation. So you're not going to earn. So right here you have a live 30-day APY. You're earning 6% per 30 days with a TVL of 21 million. The organizations that are managing this fund is Superstate and Midas. Now you can see that 80% of this fund is crypto carry. Then you have a market neutral crypto yield of 15%, and then US Treasuries is 5%. So what they do is they create these baskets of assets that give it, balance out the stability, the profitability, all the different things that, depending on your risk tolerance that you want to see. So make sure that you do your own research on these things. But you can see here that the Superstate USCC, crypto carry fund being the majority of it, you're earning 8.6% APY. That the custodian for that is Anchorage Digital, and then you have the crypto basis strategy, which is the 15%. That custodian for that is Fireblocks, and then the Superstate USTB, which is the Treasury fund, and that is UMB Bank. You can see where it's been audited. Um, and you can, of course, because of the transparency of blockchain, you can see who is invested in it, as far as their wallets. And if you're one of those sleuths, you could probably find out, who those are. So that's just a little bit of alpha on the RWAs and and Plume and kind of how those are growing. You can come over here and click up, and you can see Solana, Aptos, Ethereum, Arbitrum in the $1 million to $10 million range. They're growing, and then the 10 million plus, as always, you find Ethereum. Ethereum is just a beast. Love it or hate it. The gas. It is what it is. You got anything to add to that, Jeff? Before I move on?
Ethereum is the layer two. I mean, it's built off of, or everything else is built off of that. So it's just going to be like the silver. That's going to be the silver of the crypto
Mm-hmm.
space. You know, Bitcoin's the gold,
Absolutely.
and
Well, and speaking of silver, silver's been on a tear lately. It's up to
Mhm.
$38 per ounce. A little bit over $38 an ounce. I'm kind of a silver bug and a bit of a gold bug. I know it's a little old fashioned, but say what you want about precious metals. As far as return on investment, like quick return on investment, of course, crypto, beats it. Bitcoin, if you do a chart, Bitcoin to gold or Bitcoin to silver, Bitcoin's going to outpace it. However, as of right now, to date, Bitcoin has ebbs and flows. Sometimes, very large ebbs and flows, whereas gold and silver don't ebb and flow as much. So, speaking purely from a store of value, um, yes, you're going to grow more potentially with Bitcoin, but a store of value. I mean, a lot of people will argue with me on this controversial take, but gold and silver hold their value better. If you put $1 million in gold, chances are, over time, it's almost always going to be worth more. Same with silver. With Bitcoin, historically, it has pullbacks. It's gone from, it's had, 50, 60% pullbacks. It's not
Hmm.
that often, if ever, that you see that with gold and silver. So again, you have to be unemotional about your investing. Can you earn more with Bitcoin? Absolutely. Is there better options, to leverage and boost your earning with Bitcoin? Absolutely. But if you have a large amount of money that you're wanting to keep, you know, prying eyes off of, that you're wanting to remove that from the system to where you are, sovereign, that nothing beats physical gold and silver. Because as you all know, on chain, it doesn't matter, even if it's Bitcoin. If somebody knows that your wallet address belongs to you, governments included, then they know how much Bitcoin you have. Can they get to it if you have it in cold storage? No, but they know you have it. Gold and silver, if you have it in a safe, nobody knows that you have it except you. So there's pros and cons. You have to understand, what vehicle you're using and for what purpose. So, got anything to add to that, brother?
Oh no,
Awesome.
no.
All right, so let's go through a couple of things I found on X that I found interesting, and then we'll jump into Bitcoin portal on Bitcoin. But let's check the chat real quick. I don't want to ignore the chat. All right. So
I
we
did see
got.
one from Ricky on Stacks that I was gonna mention after you were finished.
Oh, go ahead.
But
Let's dip into the chat. We got some people in here, and I want to make sure that we recognize them.
yeah, I know Stacks is really popular in the like for the smart contracts
Yeah.
on Bitcoin. So that's definitely something that I would be bullish on. I've heard some semi Bitcoin maxis really loving the Stacks uh, project itself and the people building in that. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Well, and Stacks likes to move. Um,
Mhm.
it's like, actually, you know what? Let me pull up Stacks real quick.
Not to be confused with SXT, space and time.
No, no, yeah, STX. So you can see, on the year it's down to 79 cents, and it was a high of $2.70. Overall, though, you can see that it has the natural ebbs and flows like, all of crypto. Over the past 7 days, we've had a nice steady, higher highs, higher lows. That's good to see. That's something that you want to see in a project. And over the month, for the most part, the same. So yeah, no, Stacks is, as far as a Bitcoin play, a Bitcoin adjacent play. It's actually, it's something I don't personally have, but I know that Bitcoin maxis are very bullish on it. And to be
Mhm.
honest, I'm not super familiar, what Stacks does. So it says Stacks is an innovative Bitcoin layer that enables smart contracts. All right. So that would give Bitcoin the ability to do DeFi.
Mhm.
It allows transactions to settle directly on the Bitcoin blockchain while providing faster processing speeds and enhanced functionality. All right. I should know about this. I am slacking. So, all right.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find some liquidity pools for that and what rewards
Yeah.
they would give.
Actually, you know what? I will. let me make a note here. I will do that while you're talking about Bitcoin or portal to Bitcoin. Let's do. Let's check Uniswap for that. All right. Looks like we got some people in the chat that hold stacks. Falco stacking
Stacking
stacks and
on
stacks
stacks.
stacks and stacks and stacks. All right. So let's do this. Let's
Three major US bills are reshaping crypto by defining how it can scale legally. First, the FIT21 Act. It gives the CFTC authority over crypto commodities like Bitcoin and sets clear rules for when a token becomes decentralized. That's big for protocols like Chainlink, already running on a decentralized Oracle network, with public staking and no central issuer. Second, the stablecoin bill. It requires every stablecoin to be backed one-to-one, proven in real time, with built-in redemption and compliance logic. Chainlink powers all of that, with proof of reserve, automation, and cross-chain settlement through CCIP. Third, the Lummis-Gillibrand bill. It brings legal clarity to staking, smart contracts, taxes, and decentralized infrastructure, the exact space Chainlink operates in. Together, these bills will empower the infrastructure that plays by the rules. And the project driving this is Chainlink.
so those of you that don't know, this week is huge for crypto and a lot of macroeconomic news. So sorry about that. It's important to understand that we are moving from, and I say this over and over, we are moving from a speculative market to a utility market. So up until somewhat recently, crypto was a lot of hype. It was a lot of projects talking about what they were building and what they were going to do, but not a lot of proof of concept. It was just basically a bunch of claims. We're going to be the fastest. We're going to address this pain point. Whatever it is. But now we have these projects and protocols that are actually being actively used, like Chainlink, like Plume. They are actually going live and showing what they can do. And with that, what is going to be required for a lot of this money that everyone's always talking about, all this TVL that is supposed to be inbound, is most of it is going to be from, like it or not, institutions. It's not going to be from retail. Retail does not have the liquidity that these banks and institutions and governments have. And
Mm.
those banks, institutions, and governments cannot, by law, they cannot bring that into this ecosystem without clear guidelines. The guide rails of laws and regulations. That is what is being drafted, and this week a lot of it is being voted on at different levels. One of which, the stablecoin bill, if I did my research right, is actually going to Trump's desk to be signed, which is huge. Stablecoins are the basis of crypto. Without stablecoins, crypto does not work. That is how fiat is onboarded for the most part. Stable coins is how settlements are made. If with XRP, it's the reason why Ripple launched RLUSD. It's why they added USDC to the XRP ledger. It is what is going to move the value. um, Institutions and banks aren't going to want to move value on chain with volatile assets. They're going to want to use stables. And what this bill does is those of you that aren't familiar, and you could probably, Jeff, I would love for you to chime in on this one. Um, there was huge issues with something called an algorithmic stablecoin. So
Mm.
it was a different style to where it wasn't backed by anything, and it screwed a lot of people. There was a stable coin, I forget which one it was, that basically went under, and a lot of people lost money because of it.
Oh,
And
the Luna.
yes,
The
that was it.
Yeah.
So basically, what this bill does, just like the video just talked about, is it dictates that for every tether that's out there, for every USDC, every PUSD, any USD1, any stable coin that's out there, it has to be backed one to one, with something of actual value. So maybe you can like tell us a little bit more about what the difference between an algorithmic stablecoin and a pegged or backed stablecoin.
I It's been a while. I don't remember exactly which one. I know the what is it? Sonic? TJ over at Hit Network, Discover Crypto brought this up that Sonic is actually working on their own version of this algorithmic stablecoin that is more safe, or it's like more secure, and because there's certain mechanisms that are involved that kind of repeg it if one asset drops down or something. I don't know exactly, but it's a lot different and it's more volatile. But I think you should have it backed one to one. Honestly, if you're going to have the assets, unless you're really, really certain that that code is legit and it can function properly. But I know people were calling Luna out well before they were having the big tank, the big fallout. But
There was some people that were throwing up the flares and the red flags. They were like, because I
yeah,
remember somebody got that tattoo of the wolf with the moon, and they were like, yeah, this isn't a good sign. Well, shout out to Top Secret 33. I am guessing that might be one of my old soldiers. He says Perkins sends kisses, Big Sarge. Have
the
a
perk
feeling we should
dog.
link. Well, no, Perkins was his last name. He was one of my soldiers in the UAV platoon that I was running. But
Oh.
really, really good dude. Really good dude. But if that is you, Perkins, man, much love, man. Yeah, we
That's
definitely, we
awesome.
definitely, we definitely need to catch up. Um, so let's see. Yeah, Do Kwon. Yeah, Do Kwon was on the run there for a while because of the Luna collapse.
Oh, Black
Let's
Ice had
see.
stacks.
Yeah, Black Ice had stacks and stacks and stacks. All
He traded
right.
for Arrow.
So let's dip down into this a little bit more. All right. What else do we got? So as you can see, the Financial Services Committee next week, the House will deliver on POTUS call to make the United States the crypto capital of the world. So during the 14th to the 18th, today till Friday, you have the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, and the Genius Act. So that was the video that we just went over of all the things that are going to be happening this week, and they're all at different stages in the legislative process. We have Chairman Representative French Hill speaks at the Rules Reps on the three bills as part of Crypto Week. It's 9 minutes long. I'm not going to play it, but as you can see, they're knee deep in it. They understand what this means for the future of finance. And those of you that aren't following this, DeFi and RWAs is the future of finance. Traditional finance as we know it is going away. Everything is going to be on chain. If it's real world assets that are being tokenized, if it's that being stocks, bonds, treasuries, commodities, art, real estate, all of it, it is going to make things that are illiquid liquid. The days of waiting 5 to 10 business days to cash out of a 401k are over. The days of waiting 5 to 10 business days to send money cross border is over.
Stuff's
These
24/7
eight 24
trading.
7,
Yep.
yes, 365, and the need for intermediaries where historically you had to pay people to do
Hmm.
these transactions is over. With smart contracts, you don't need them anymore. With instant finality, you don't need them
Mhm.
anymore. A lot of this stuff is going away. Do you have anything to add to that?
Oh shit, man! I spent years trading, like doing day trading stuff, and just having to wait. If you get in a trade at the end of the day and then you have to wait because after hours, is
God
only
forbid it's a
restricted,
holiday weekend.
the fucking holiday, and or some news comes out and you're like, shit in the stock shit in the bed. There's all kinds of issues, and if you can just be liquid, 24/7 or trade 24/7 to where you can get in and out. I mean, holy shit, set your stop loss, and like Jay said, you can sleep at night even if you're not holding, or even if you're holding. Set a stop loss, and you can just, hey, if it tanks, I can just not have to worry about the market closing.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, it's just there's so much. What we did, the deep dive we did on Saturday, with Mamo. It's
Yeah.
AI being integrated into your trading. If
Mhm.
it's vaults to where it's these baskets of assets like Nest that we were talking about. If it is day trading, I mean, we are going to have tools at our disposal that are going to automate a lot of these processes and optimize our investments to where it's just hands off. It's just deposit liquidity and it does it for you. It's going to stabilize the markets. There's a lot of things that this technology is going to do to make these things better. And early adopters like us and those of you out there listening, early adopters are the ones that reap the most benefits. If you were the first to invest in Amazon, if or Google or Microsoft, obviously they profited the most. They saw the potential and they took a higher amount of risk. If you wait until something is successful, you're not going to have the highest, as high of returns. So, um, all right, moving right along. Crypto Week in DC marks a turning point. The Genius Act heads to the president's desk. Stablecoin regulation will unlock the next era of on chain finance. More about Crypto Week. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Bitcoin is becoming a store of value. But listen to what he has to say. This is really
There are a lot of different stores of value over time. Bitcoin's becoming a store of value. Gold has historically been a store of value. Yeah.
so. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where a store of value doesn't drop 80% every 4 years from whales dumping. You need to understand the difference between hype and and emotional investing and actual data. Historically, Bitcoin has strong pullbacks. That is probably going to change over time. The markets are going to flatten out over time because the more liquidity and that is in Bitcoin, the less that market makers are going to be able to manipulate the markets, and dump and pump the markets to to liquidate people, and you're not going to have the huge dips. However, you have to go off data. And historically, the last bull market, there was a significant pullback in Bitcoin. So calling Bitcoin a store of value long term, I would tend to agree. But short term, you need to understand how these cycles work, and that potentially, if you're dumping money into Bitcoin right now, it could keep going up. It could have much less of a pullback because of the amount of liquidity that's being injected into Bitcoin. But you need to be real about it. There potentially still could be a significant pullback in Bitcoin. I myself, I'm not in Bitcoin yet. Could that bite me? Absolutely. But I'm in alts, I'm in DeFi, I'm earning very good yields. And as I ladder out, I'm going to be laddering out into stables to lock in that value. If or when there is a pullback in Bitcoin, I will start DCAing with that value and using my Bitcoin to earn 5-10% off of. And when I feel the markets have done their pullback and we're at the bottom of the bear market, I'll start DCAing into solid projects. That if Plume's still around, if a lot of these projects that I feel have staying power, I'll start DCAing back into those at lower levels, and again DeFiing those and just rinse and repeat. But I'm looking for a realistic 10x from what I have now, which would give me about $500,000 or $600,000, from my portfolio. And with that, I very easily can make $50,000 to $100,000 a year without actually touching my principal. And those of you that watch know exactly how I plan to do that. There's a ton of news, and I could go on and on about it. I'll do this last one because it ties into some projects that we've talked about here recently, Black Hole. But let's this one here is they're talking about Bitcoin, Tether, XRP, and gold. It's a long video, but this one I definitely want to touch on. Elio Trades. Those of you that don't know, he's the founder of Black Hole, and actually, you know what? Why don't you give the alpha on this one? What's going to be happening tomorrow with the token launch, and and how that ties into the airdrop.
Yeah. So Elio, he's been around shit as long as I think he started around the same time BitBoy started the his channel, and they were all, I think TJ and them know Elio from their partnerships and stuff, but he started this Superverse back in 2021, the Superverse project, and this exchange, I believe, was not really planned a long time ago. It was kind of a newer project and I was watching that video earlier, and he said that they're a nonprofit. It's going to be a nonprofit, kind of like Aerodrome is to Base. So this is going to be exclusive to AVAX, Avalanche chain. So think of, Aerodrome, but for Avalanche. And all rewards are going back into the community and the protocol, and except for operating costs. So he said only operating costs will be taken out. Nobody on the team, no founders will hold any tokens. They have no liquid tokens.
No
So
VCs. It was
no VC.
it's a
It's
fair
full,
launch. Fair launch.
fair
Right?
launch. And also, so the claim goes live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I tried to get more details out of the airdrop, but they were very vague about it. They said that they didn't say specifically what testers will get it, but they said that anyone that provided feedback or tested out the protocol. So I don't know. I'm hoping that I find out our show wallet gets the first airdrop tomorrow, and if we do, then because I started this in the phase 1, so we did all 3 phases, and I just if we can get our first airdrop tomorrow, we'll go live and do a claim. So
All right, cool. No, absolutely. Well,
but
and actually, did you read up on? I think it was called like super black hole or something like that, to where you can actually burn your tokens.
Yes, and so you have 24 hours from the token generation event, or TGE. So from tomorrow 6 p.m. Pacific to Wednesday 6 p.m. Pacific, you have to burn the
Oh,
NFT.
here it is.
Yeah. And
Super massive rebase.
You get permanent rewards from the ecosystem. So it's like
So,
you're showing your dedication and loyalty to the.
so
What
right
does that
here.
say?
Actually, I'll go through this real quick, and then let's
Yeah.
jump into the portal, because I mean we've already been going for 40 minutes
Oh,
and haven't even talked about. Dude, I'm telling you, there's so much going on right now.
There's a lot.
It's like mind by. We went out up camping and I came back and I'm like, holy shit. So I'll read through this real quick, and then just go ahead and get ready with the portal to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, supermassive rebates bonus. To incentivize the reward of holders of supermassive VE NFTs, all rebase rewards that are allocated to these VE NFTs will receive a substantial boost. This boost will be a significant increase of 10% on top of their standard rebase rewards. Emission rewards. Each epoch, which is a week, black emissions are distributed to liquidity pools proportionally to the votes, just like on Aerodrome, that the pools receive. VE NFT voters receive bribes to allocate their votes to different liquidity pools, just like on Aerodrome. Liquidity providers can stake their LP tokens to receive a share of the emission reward tokens distributed to each pool proportionally to the size of positions and time staked. These rewards are distributed during the whole epoch and available for claiming as these accrue. So, to ensure the sustainability and continued development of the protocol, a portion of the emissions, specifically 5%, will be directed to the protocol foundation address. Fully transparent. I love that. Honestly, this seems like a very solid project. When we were going over it, I really liked what I saw. And since then, I've been keeping up. And Emilio does a really good job of doing these video updates.
Yeah. I followed his channel for quite a while before I started mine, and he always put out some pretty good stuff. Just and I think anybody that held the super token or staked the super verse token, which I didn't hold any, and I assume you want to burn that wallet or that NFT if we get it in the
What do you think?
show. I mean, if that's gonna be our first one, we might as well go all in, huh?
No, I mean we might as well. I mean it's something I would love to like with Aerodrome. It's something I would love to do. As far as farming, farming it. Yeah, because no, let's do it. Let's do it because I do want to DeFi. All the airdrop stuff that you're doing. We talked about that once you're done doing the airdrop stuff that I would DeFi it. So yeah, let's do that because if it's going to give us a boost on our earnings, then I think that would work out really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Fingers crossed, everyone. We got almost 24 hours till D-Day.
Yeah. So you're going to take care of all that?
Yeah. Well, as soon as it opens up, I'll hit you up and we'll check it out and
All right.
see
Yeah.
what we got.
And I'd be down. I'd be down to go live to just do that live for the community. Tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Just something real quick because especially if it's our first one, we got to do the first one live.
Oh, absolutely. Let me see. I doubt there will be one. Oh shit! Hold on. Let's see if there is any. Oh shit, dog! All right, check this out. There's some Uniswap black pools.
Oh shit!
Not like no TVL yet, but I mean the token hasn't gone live. So we'll keep an eye on this. There's some ETH black pools and some black USDT pools that are starting to form. Some black holes are starting to form.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that they wanted to give it some time from the token creation to the token launch to get the liquidity pools set up so everything's ready to go and seamless, which is cool. You want to give it some time, not just, oh hey, so all the tokens unlock and now you are fighting.
Well, and I know that when we were messing around with the test net, I don't know if it's going to be the same, but I mean there were some really good rewards that we were earning as far as the the fees for the test tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no,
And
it'll
they,
be interesting. It'll be really interesting. And if you're familiar with Aerodrome, the mechanics of this is what do they call it, like a VE33 or something like that. Same thing.
yeah.
You can lock, you can all the same things that you're familiar with on Aerodrome is going to apply here. So
Mm-hmm.
all right, well let's go ahead and jump into Portal for Bitcoin.
Go from the black hole to the portal.
Yeah, and you know
Go-
what? That's actually kind of a perfect segue. So, one thing that I do want to touch on is let's actually do you
oh, their
want to like
team.
do you want to introduce the project and then we'll start going through the fundamentals?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a layer zero, but kind of bridging all the other chains to Bitcoin and allowing cross chain infrastructure. So messaging from layer twos to Bitcoin or Solana EVM, or not EVM, but Solana and other EVMs. But they, uh, they have a lot of products, liquidity router, software development kit, their own wallet, and financial super intelligence. So it's more than just, a cross-chain messaging infrastructure
Hmm.
system. They got their operating system they're building out, and their multi-party channel solution for scaling Bitcoin for DeFi and beyond, and huge backing, 42.5 million, and we'll dive into the team. But the fundraising, I mean, was it Coinbase Ventures was one of them, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
OKX, Arlington Capital, Gate IO. So definitely, and this could be great with the stacks thing too. Integrating with the stacks, smart
absolutely,
contracts, just making things
absolutely.
more efficient. Because one thing by itself, it could get slow and clunky, but you integrate this stuff together and shit just works so much faster and less fees too, because Bitcoin has pretty high fees at times. And you got the
Absolutely.
team?
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to throw that up real quick and we'll go through them?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the CEO, Dr. Chandra. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. So he's an entrepreneur, Bitcoin enthusiast, obviously, a product fanatic. Previously, he was a founder and CEO of Fuel, the first AI-based personalized nutrition engine. Interesting. So a little bit of an AI,
Dagarala.
yeah, a little bit of AI background.
Hmm.
Ex-founder of Novo Bionics. Never heard of it. Do you want to look those up and
No, Novo Bionics?
yeah, Novo Bionics. If you want to,
Let's see.
you want to look
Yeah.
those up real quick. Then we'll look at George here while you're doing that. 8 years in Bitcoin, three exits in peer-to-peer community startups, included early Bitcoin exchange Crypto Street, created the first Bitcoin debit card, and runs the world's oldest Bitcoin meetup. All right. Their CTO. This is the position that I usually weight the most. So those of you that don't maybe are new to the channel, this is how I do my investing. Is I look at the fundamentals, and whenever I'm looking at a project, probably the individual that I put the most weight is the CTO, the chief technology officer.
Hmm.
So because it's a tech company, and you want to ensure that if it's a tech company that they have a strong background in whatever it is that they're building, because obviously the more experience they have, more of a subject matter expert they are, then potentially the more successful they can be. Of course, the CEO is important because they steer the company, but without a good CTO, it's not going to be successful. So Minaj, a 3x startup founder, led 150 engineer teams, designed large scale advanced analytics platforms, previously at IBM, in Vincent's, and did his engineering at Stanford. Let's see. Let's actually go to his LinkedIn.
Damn, these guys are. Yeah, that Nova Bionics is a company out here in Sunnyvale, California, that he co-founded. That
Okay.
invented a minimally invasive device to treat diabetes and obesity without surgery. He led the company through Series A funding and recruited engineering. So, a biomedical company, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
And he did. So he started this in 2018. Portal, formerly Tides. So, and then he
Okay.
was in crypto exploration from 2017 to 2018. So he's been in
Okay.
crypto for 8 years now.
Well, check this out. So this is why I use LinkedIn. So he's currently at this Rafa AI, and he's a co-founder and CTO at Portal to Bitcoin. But this Rafa AI, the promise of wealth management is profound to guide clients toward their most ambitious goals, yet the daily reality is often a battle against fragmented data, disconnected software, and manual workflows that consume the one resource you can't get back, time. So it looks like that this project is an AI. Our system unifies your scattered intelligence, client notes, portfolios, market
Mm-hmm.
data, and PDFs into a single powerful command center. I like this. This
Yeah, I have that tab pulled up from their products section. They kind of
nice.
show like a little.
Well, yeah. Then let's. I'll blaze over these, and then let's kick it over to you. So, obviously, we're talking about Portal to Bitcoin. He was the co-founder of Context 360. Uses smartphone sensors to identify user patterns that predict physical activities. So that's basically what that is analytics based off behavior, people's behavior. So how they moved, in a grocery store, for better product placement, things like that. It's basically human analytics of if you're wanting to look at traffic patterns. Everyone always has a smartphone with them, so that they can track you basically, and they can see how people move throughout a city to optimize public transport, to optimize traffic signals, all these different things. So that's kind of what that is. So yeah, let's kick it over to you
That's cool.
and go over what you were just talking about.
Yeah, they got some. Yeah, I was looking at their LinkedIn stuff. They got some pretty good experience behind them. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've been building since 2018, so that's good.
Oh shit, they've
The
been around a while then.
Yeah. So they're go to their products up here, and we can check out their liquidity router. So it uses Bitscaler based cross chain. I guess that's some their
Let's see.
reaching finality. So yeah, that Rafa right here, AI investing co-pilot for busy investors. Your team of AI agents focused on helping you make smarter decisions with hyper-personalized insights. So is this live? You can download this right now?
So that's I can't stress enough how important AI is going to be in everything, and in investing, especially if you don't have the time, to manage
Hmm.
your portfolio. It's basically going to be a free broker for you, or a money manager, to where they're going to optimize, like Mamo that we talked about. It's going to make sure that your money is working hard for you.
Yeah, so this
So
is Rafa Pro. You can book a demo. So unlock infinite capacity and quantum scale for your wealth.
holy shit.
Individual
Dude,
investors.
Portal, Bitcoin. Holy dude, how did this? Oh, never mind. I was not looking at where the decimal was at. I thought that Portal to
Oh,
Bitcoin went from 2 cents to 54 cents, but
oh shit.
it went from 2 cents to 5 cents. So I was like, holy shit, how did I not see this?
Yeah, so your firm has a multi-million dollar problem hidden in plain sight. Our platform embeds powerful artificial intelligence at the core of your operations, intelligently automating the administrative tasks that drain 41% of your advisor's time. So, how much has your brother saved by incorporating AI with his law
Oh, dude,
business?
like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, just from not having to have to use paralegals. It used to be
Mhm.
that whenever he needed something done, he had a paralegal that he had to pay 70, 80, 90,000 a year, and it would take him days to get it done, and he'd have to double and triple check it. With AI, it's done in minutes and it's free. I mean, it's AI. I
Yeah.
can't stress enough, that and I'll keep stressing it. If you are not learning how to use AI, if you are not knowledgeable about AI, you are falling behind. And if you are not learning how to leverage AI to, in your investing, you are at a serious disadvantage. So, you need to start doing that.
Yeah, look at these little transform client data into strategic relationship intelligence driven revenue growth. So right here, I can't pause it, but it says perform a detailed style analysis on this Schwab self-directed, showing deviations from this Thompson IPS. So you can get really in depth with financial strategies and have AI come up with a. I wish I could pause this because it's
Well,
going too fast, but
I mean,
check
Taylor,
some of these out. Tax intelligence, portfolio analytics.
Well, Taylor, my brother, he's been doing it with liquidity pools. He's been using Chat GPT.
Uh,
He puts the information for liquidity pools in it, and it tells him if it's going to be a good producer or not. As far as yield,
oh
it's
shit. Yeah, man. The more hands off, the that you can be while still
absolutely.
having
Well,
it. Because that was the one thing about trading bots that has people kind of worried is how do I know if I'm going to actually make money on this bot? And stuff like this DeFi, especially with the AI, you can set it and forget it and just check on it once a week,
oh
probably.
yeah, no,
Or
absolutely. So let me read this real quick, and this will kind of give everybody an idea. Let's we definitely did a little bit of a deep dive on the team and some other projects that they're involved in. I think everybody understands that we that there's a very strong team and fully doxed.
Mhm.
So one thing that I do want to touch on is what exactly is Portal. So basically, it is pioneering trustless and censorship resistant swaps. In the rapidly evolving cryptocurrency ecosystem, the importance of truly seamless cross chain interoperability, particularly with Bitcoin or BRC20, and ordinals, has become increasingly vital. At Portal, our mission is to be at the forefront of this transformation by offering users a groundbreaking platform for trustless and censorship resistant swaps of crypto assets. Our approach is distinct. We facilitate native asset swaps, and that's what's important. This is native, built on Bitcoin, on the
Mhm.
actual Bitcoin chain. This is not, something that it is, adjacent and, you have to wrap and do all those things. This is actually going to be DeFi that does not require wrapping Bitcoin. Um, it says facilitates native asset swaps across different blockchains directly with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ecosystem, eliminating the need for wrapping, bridges, or custodians. Portal's infrastructure is poised to revolutionize decentralized finance or DeFi on Bitcoin, catalyzing a surge in Bitcoin's utility and value. This was the reason why Vitalik Buterin came up with Ethereum. Bitcoin did not have smart contracts. XRP did not have smart contracts. And again, love Ethereum or hate it, Vitalik Buterin saw the need for smart contracts. And without smart contracts, you don't have DeFi. There's a lot of functionality that you do not have. And that is what Bitcoin struggled with. That is what XRP struggled with. But now, because of innovation, you have these projects that are coming out that are bringing that functionality to Bitcoin. What it will do, time will tell. Again, early adopters take on more risk. With more risk is the potential for more reward. So I'll read this real quick and then we'll move on. Portal Network, the gateway to hyper Bitcoinization. The vulnerabilities of centralized exchanges have been a persistent challenge and risk to the crypto ecosystem. Portal's vision is to mitigate this risk through trustless Bitcoin interoperability with other chains, leveraging fast, efficient layer 2 cross-chain atomic swaps. This approach promises a secure, inexpensive, and user-centric platform for asset exchange, thus opening the portal to hyper Bitcoinization. So those that don't know what, hold on real quick. What atomic swaps are is it's a trustless mechanism allowing two parties to exchange cryptocurrencies across different blockchains simultaneously, ensuring that either both transactions complete or none does. So this is where the trustless part comes in, and the lack of a need for intermediaries like real estate, where if like say I wanted to buy Jeff's house, in the past you had something called escrow, to where basically what it was is the money I was paying for the house would go into an escrow account. Once ownership of Jeff's house was transferred to me, then that money would be released to Jeff. But when I had it in escrow, I can't yank it out of there, after I take possession of the house. So, they act as that third party intermediary. Now, with this technology and others, but this one on Bitcoin, say that you want to use Bitcoin to buy a piece of real estate, then this would allow, through smart contracts and atomic swaps, that I could buy Jeff's house with Bitcoin natively, on chain, and that those funds would it'd be an instant. It'd be instant. I would say yes, I want to buy it. He would say yes, I want to sell it. The smart contract would say I'm buying it for this much. This is what it is that that I'm buying. This piece of property. It's free of any encumbrances or liens or anything like that. All of that could be done automated, online, potentially with AI. The CTO has a background in AI. It's a functionality that they could add, to where it just automatically goes on chain and looks to make sure that again, the stuff that real estate agents are supposedly used to do, make sure that there's no liens on the property, things like that. All of this is going to be automated. A lot of these human functions that used to be a part of these financial processes are going to go away. So that is why, here on the channel, we focus so much on these DeFi and RWA, technologies or use cases, because it is going to change the way that trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars move across the traditional markets. And I can't stress it enough. Follow the money. If you want to make money, follow the money. So, all right, sorry, I got on the rabbit trail there, but
Yeah, smart money. It's they have all that money for a reason, and some of it's nefarious, but as long as you're doing it the right way. Yeah, so the Portal OS is very developer friendly,
Mhm.
and is basically the software that is run by the validators, and they say it's flexible, configurable, and easy to install. And that's what you want if you want to validate and run a node on the network. I've I've done many attempts at different nodes for projects in the past, and it's just a pain in the ass if you're not software developer savvy. I mean, I've done some programming and shit in the past, but it can be very meticulous if you don't install the certain dependencies and libraries and packages the right way.
Mhm.
It could just all blow up. But and those atomic swaps, that's less chance for, if you can do it at the same simultaneously, that's less chance for somebody to come in between that transaction and
Mhm.
like sandwich it or find a vulnerability. So the the quicker you can get it, or the less likely it is to be locked up, as it is now when you transfer across chains or a synthetic asset like wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped ETH. You want to
And it's important
do
to
away with
understand
more
the
of those.
difference. Well, it's important, and maybe you can explain this. Just the difference between the wrapped Bitcoin, or Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped Bitcoin, and actual native Bitcoin.
Yeah, the synthetic assets were created to hold, like on different blockchains like wrapped Bitcoin. You can't hold Bitcoin on Ethereum or other L2s.
Mhm.
So they created a synthetic asset for you that's pegged to it, but it's not exactly Bitcoin. So it's, and they have their own host of people and speculation, or people that don't really like it and have their own issues. But I don't know. I think if you just hold it short term, or like wrapped ETH. You're doing the liquidity pools with wrapped ETH. A lot of liquidity pools have wrapped assets.
Mhm.
So
Well, basically, it was necessary to DeFi a lot of these,
mm,
because again, Bitcoin did not have the ability to to move to other chains. And they didn't have DeFi or smart contracts. So basically, the only functionality of Bitcoin was to buy it and hold it and hope that the price went up. So that's why Base came up with Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, and Ethereum came up with wrapped Bitcoin. Is it was a way to and supposedly it's supposed to be backed to 1 to 1, but it was a way to be able to access that liquidity that people had in Bitcoin. Because I mean, you can look at the data again. Always invest off of data. The market share of the crypto market is in Bitcoin. So without those, that liquidity is locked into Bitcoin. So it was just a way to access that liquidity and spread it, across these other projects, and allow decentralized finance for your Bitcoin. Quick shout out. It looks like Gertie is from the Philippines, and he's given a shout out to the Manila Philippines family. So we
he might have
started.
been spamming. I think Jay put him in timeout for spamming.
I think it's a real person, but yeah, he's a typing. I think it's Tagalog, is the
Oh,
language.
Tagalog, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think he was just trying to shout out the the Filipinos in the chat, or that might be watching, because I started doing closed captions and
Oh, sweet, yeah.
for the Philippines and things like that. But no, you're all good, Jay. You're just looking out. But yeah, I've been doing closed captions because I want to start reaching out to native speakers in other in other countries. So
I love my Filipinos.
the Philippines. All right.
Philippines. Well, my ex
So
is Filipina, so Definitely love the food. Oh my gosh. Some of
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite.
Taylor, my brother Taylor, he went on a Mormon mission, church mission to the Philippines for 2 years, so he actually speaks Tagalog.
Oh shit, that's cool.
All right. So, you got anything else that you want to cover before we close out, or?
Well, no, just they have the liquidity router for the layer ones and layer twos that is uh, no like non-custodial, no bridges or trust in custodial holders. There's software developer kit for exchanges and wallets, so there will be dApps integrating this, and the Portal wallet. It's the testnet's over now, so you can't do anything in the wallet. They're getting ready for mainnet,
Mhm.
but they have a little browser wallet you can see right here. And I didn't really do much with the testnet on my wallet. This was earlier this year, but I remember doing something on it, but I don't think I'll qualify. But yeah, and like you said, the AI stuff is going to be huge for DeFi investing,
Mhm.
and having stuff on the Bitcoin network is going to be great. You know,
Well,
the
well, well, and
it's
I want to be very clear. Portal does not have an AI yet, but the team has a strong AI background. So it's something potentially that they could add later on. I just want to make sure that we're clear about that.
the Rafa you can request a demo for the Rafa AI.
And that
So
Rafa AI is going to be a part of Portal. That's confirmed.
that's right here. Their product,
Oh,
Rafa, right
okay,
here.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I brought it up. I went you can download it right here, and on the Rafa.ai website it said you can request a demo, but or book a demo. So
But
if you want,
it does work in tandem with Portal though.
yeah, it's right on their products page right here, number 4. So it's on their
Okay,
product website,
all right.
and ow,
No,
so yeah,
that's why we're here, man.
yeah, get bullish, get bullish.
That's
So you
right.
can book if you're interested. For those out there that want to dive deeper into Rafa, then you can book a call with someone on the team and find out more information. So there you go,
We
or
might have to do
individual
we might
investors.
have to do a deep dive on this. Maybe we can even schedule
Oh,
something with them and have them on a live.
oh, I think that's for the oh, that's for the pro. That's so there's financial advisors and individual investors. So you can create an account right here, and yeah, we might have to do this a separate deep dive
Yeah.
because you can set up a account for free.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Shit,
Well,
sweet.
all right. Well, I mean, I think that's all we got for you on this one. But again, let's you want to go ahead and shout out the chat, and we'll wrap this up.
Ooh. Yeah, we got Jay, man, Rico, Josh. Josh, glad you're safe for being out on sea with all those seamen. Um, Joseph, Ellie, Wispy, Nick, Dunn, Kyle Watts, Kyle Watts, Ricky Romero. Sounds like a EDM artist. Oh,
Yep.
Nicky Romero is this electronic artist. Yeah. Alexander G, Black Ice. Where is it? Oh, Top Secret. Your boy.
Yeah.
Got to
KT,
hit him up.
KT and Gertie,
KT and Gertie, Falco,
Andy,
and
Stan.
Stan. Oh yeah, Stan had.
We appreciate all the comments in the chat, and as always, we always welcome questions. So just
Yeah.
in closing, make sure to join us in Discord. The links are in the description. You can reach me almost any time on there if you have any questions, that you need answered. Perkins, if you want to hit me up there, we can reconnect if you want. But yeah, and then make sure that you're following and watching our brother channels. Discover Crypto every morning at 7:30 Pacific time. Usually after that is either Blockchain Basement or BitLab Academy with Kelly and of course Drew over at Blockchain Basement. And then a lot of times I'll go live if there's something worthwhile to go live about. I'll go live after Blockchain Basement. But I don't like to go live just to go live. To me, it feels like a waste of your time and mine. I just want to make sure that whenever we go live, we're bringing the value, we're bringing the alpha.
Mhm.
So with that, thank you all. Thank you, Jeff, brother. I appreciate
Yes,
your.
yes.
And until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Later.